It's not all written, it's like.
No, it goes there.
Change the budget.
Yeah. We were 6.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the West Goshen Township Board of Supervisors organizational meeting on January the 5th, 2026. To start the meeting, will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be aware this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube and may also be audio or video recorded by people present in the room. We're delighted this evening to start 2026 with the oaths of office for newly elected officials, and with us is the Honorable Deb Ryan, who is a judge for the Chester County Court of Common Pleas. She will be administering the oaths. And we have 3 newly elected officials. The Board of Supervisors, we have Ashley Garnier, our Board of Auditors, Carla Membrino, and Tax Collector David Carl. So I guess we'll start with Ashley. Over to you, Your Honor. I'm going to get out of the way so you can do it out here and take photos, whatever you want to do.
Ashley, do you have someone who can hold the Bible for you? I got this girl right over here. All right, bring her on up. Come on up. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ashley Garnier,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey,
obey,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of West Goshen Township,
and the ordinances of West Goshen Township,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yay. Yeah, people tried to steal that from you before. Mr. Membrino?
Yes,
Come on up. Do you have someone to hold the Bible?
I know, and I guess I'll get a volunteer.
Would someone like to serve in that role?
Oh, let's see.
Thank you. All right. Sure. All right. I state your name.
I, Carmen Brina,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey,
obey,
and
and
defend
defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this
and
Commonwealth
the Constitution Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the ordinances of West Goshen Township,
and the ordinances of West Goshen Township,
and that I will discharge the
and
duties
that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations. And then Mr. Hall?
I don't know.
We'll get someone to serve. Come on in, yes, thank you. Official. All right. I
I,
state your name.
Tommy Cass,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support
obey, and defend
the
the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of West Goshen Township,
and the ordinances of West Goshen Township,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you, Your Honor. Does anybody?
Judge, any comment about the $126,000 county paid allegation against you for racism by black detective? My name is Abbas Raberi. You also violated my civil right. I just want to let you know that, Your Honor. Is there any comment you can make since you are elected official and judge right now?
He's out of order.
I have no
He's out of order.
Thank you, Judge.
You sit down.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of the newly elected officials want to take pictures in front of the seal of the township?
So let's get to work.
Okay.
Carter.
Okay, at this point, we're at agenda number 4, and I will turn the meeting over to our Vice Chair, Mr. John Hellman.
Okay, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for Chair of the Board of Supervisors of West Goshen Township. And at which point I will call for a vote. At this point, I would like to nominate Sean Moss to be Chair.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone say no? Okay, you're elected.
Thank you. I abstain, Chris, from the vote. Thank you very much. I appreciate the faith you have in me to carry out the duties of being Chair of the Board, and it's an honor and a privilege to continue to serve the Township residents in that capacity. So at this point, we're looking for a nomination for Vice Chair.
I'd like to nominate John Hellman.
Thank you, Nate. Is there a second? Thank you, Tina. Is there any discussion? Very good, then we'll take a vote. All in favor of Mr. Hellman being the Vice Chair, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition?
I'll abstain.
Okay, the vote, motion passes 4-0 with Mr. Hellman abstaining. We are now up to agenda item number 5, which is the opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone present in the room who would like to make a public comment this evening?
Yes, I do.
Okay, is anyone else? Okay, Mr. Rabari, you have your 2 minutes. As a non-resident, non-taxpayer of West Goshen Township.
I'm a
the
taxpayer.
board- You're
I
not a
just want the record to
taxpayer.
reflect
The record is saying that you are not a resident and you are not a taxpayer.
I'm a taxpayer.
Mr. Rabari provides evidence that his ex-wife owns property in the township,
Those are
for the
my,
record. Okay, you have 2 minutes, which is starting now, sir.
you're violating the law because you're afraid that I have exposed corruption in this township. Is this working?
If you turn it on, it will be.
I'm sorry?
If you turn it on, it will be.
Bro, it's not my property, it's your property.
Well, you have
to.
1 minute 45 left, sir.
Can I start right?
You can go right ahead.
2 minutes?
139.
1:45 minutes. You have to ask yourself why they're so afraid of me to expose corruption in this township. Corruption always starts from the top, according to my father, which he was the Superior Court judge in Iran. These are the top individuals. Corruption starts in the police department. Chief of police is there. That's the top of the line. I'm a taxpayer of West Goshen. I also have a resident. I also rent the property. According to your own bylaws, I can't speak. Residents can speak. Is this a Muslim rule or is this a racially motivated rule by the by elected officials of this township? By the way, I have sued them, so they're going to be in the court very soon to answer those issues. Again, I love this country. Exercise your constitutional right. If you have information, 484-880-0276. I have a website coming up very soon justcorruption.com. It would be soon operational, and I'm going to expose these corrupts, all of them. I have no fear of anybody. If I get killed, you know who has done it. I don't trust East Goshen Police, especially their chief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We'll move on to agenda item number 6. So I will move to propose the following township and staff appointments for 2026, and then I will ask for a second. So I'm going to read the appointments first. Proposed appointments are Township Manager, Secretary and Open Records Officer, Mr. Christopher Bayshaw, Deputy Open Records Officer, Ms. Jennifer Poloni, Finance Director Treasurer, Ms. Christine Riffey, Assistant Finance Director, Human Resources Director, Ms. Jennifer Latzer, Deputy Tax Collector, Ms. Kimberly Green, Park and Recreation Director, Mr. Kenneth Lair, Assistant Park and Recreation Director, Mr. Thomas Steins, Chief of Police, Mr. Michael Carroll, Zoning Officer, Ms. Shelby Smith, Township Engineer, Deputy Zoning Officer, Mr. Brian Kulikowski, Director of Public Works, Mr. Mark Bertolami, Assistant Director of Public Works, Mr. Michael Kakavo, Director of Wastewater Operations, Mr. Michael Moffa, Building Code Official, Deputy Zoning Officer, Deputy Fire Marshal, Mr. John Beswick, Fire Marshal, Building Code Official, and Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator, Mr. Michael McCarthy, Emergency Management Coordinator, Ms. Lisa Cavada, and part-time Special Project Engineer for Woodlands of Greystone, Mr. Richard Craig. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nate. Any questions or comments on the proposed appointments from the board? Any public comments or questions? At the back of the room. Oh, sorry, I couldn't see you. I thought you were asking a question. Very good. Okay, in that case, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Move on to agenda item number 7. These are the proposed township professional consultant appointments for 2026. So I move to make the following professional consultant appointments. The township solicitor, Buckley, Bryan, McGuire, and Morris. Labor Council, Eckert, Siemens, Cherin, and Millett. Consulting engineer, Carroll Engineering Corporation. Traffic engineer, McCormick Taylor. Special traffic engineer for the project at 929 South High Street, Bowman Consulting Group. The outside auditor, Barbicane, Thornton and Company, and human resources consultant, Ms. Roseanne McGrath Consulting. Is there a second? Thank you. Any comments or questions from anybody on the proposed professional consultant appointments? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Okay, we're on to agenda item number 8. These are proposed appointments for the specific terms in office for various boards and commissions at the township. So is there any board member willing to make a motion for the appointments that I'm about to read out?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. So the proposed appointments are for the Planning Commission, Ms. Alessandra O'Reilly-Belvoir for a 4-year term, Mr. John Mattia for a 4-year term, Dr. Douglas White for a 4-year term, Mr. Terry Wildrick for a 4-year term, and the board liaison being Mr. John Hellman. Park and Recreation Board, Ms. Alison Bonjo for a 5-year term, with Ms. Ashley Garnier being the board liaison. The Historic Commission, Ms. Irene Benjamin for a 3-year term, Mr. Richard Davis for a 3-year term, Ms. Nancy McCabe for a 3-year term, Mr. Michael Pilagalli for a 3-year term, and Ms. Elizabeth Dean for a 3-year term, with Mr. Nate Wallman as our board liaison. For the Sewer Authority, board liaison is myself. For the Zoning Hearing Board, Mr. Paul Kavanaugh for a 3-year term. For the Vacancy Board, Ms. Ashley Garnier, Mr. John Hellman, Ms. Tina Marie Smith, myself, Mr. Nate Wallman, and Ms. Jewel Parkinson, all one-year terms. For the Pension Committee, all one-year terms, Mr. Angelo Savaloni, Mr. David Brune, Mr. Charles Creighton, Mr. Robert Holland, Mr. Hugh Pennell, and Mr. Walker Tompkins as an alternate member, and myself as board liaison. For the Sustainability Advisory Committee, Ms. Renee Maddy for a 2-year term, with Ms. Ashley Garnier and Ms. Tina Marie Smith as our board liaisons. We had a motion and a second on those proposed appointments. Is there any questions or comments? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. We'll note we have the following vacancies on our West Goshen Township's board and commissions. Historical Commission, there are 2 vacancies. Park and Recreation Board, there is 1 vacancy for an alternate member. For the Sewer Authority, there is 1 vacancy. For the Sustainability Advisory Committee, there are 2 vacancies. And for the Zoning Hearing Board, there is 1 vacancy for an alternate member. Okay, at this point, we're looking for board representation on 3 opportunities. First of all, we have a representative needed for the Westchester Area Council of Governments. Do we have a board member who's willing to serve on the Westchester Area Council of Governments for 2026? You want to do it? Tina says she will do it. Okay, I'm going to do all 3 and then we'll vote as a block. So for the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association Board, which is associated with the development at the Woodlands of Braystone, I currently serve on that together with Mr. Wallman, and Mr. Chris Bayshore was also appointed at the last meeting of the NIDMA. So I'm happy to continue. Mr. Wallman, are you?
No problem.
And Chris, you're good, I presume? Okay. And then finally, we have a voting delegate needed for the 2026 PSATS conference.
I'll do it.
Okay, so Mr. Wallman, you're willing to do that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I will make a motion to approve Ms. Smith as the representative to the Westchester Area Council of Governments, myself, Mr. Wallman, and Mr. Bayshore to the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association, and Mr. Wallman is the voting delegate to the 2026 PSATS conference. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Helm. Any questions or comments from anyone? Very good, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Okay, next, I move to appoint the following depositories for 2026. TD Bank, Pennsylvania Local Government Investments Trust, Santander Bank. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ashley. Any public comments or questions on the bank depositories for the township?
Mr. Chairman, I will just note that our Finance Director, Christina Riffey, has been actively working with our depositories on CDs for 2026, so we'll provide a report when those are settled with the depositories.
Thank you, Mr. Bayshore. Anyone else with a comment or question? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 10. We're looking for the board to recommend to the Board of Auditors the following amounts for the bonds to be set for the Township's Finance Director and the Manager. For 2026, it is proposed that the Manager bond be $1 million and for the Finance Director, $7.5 million. Is there a board member willing to make a motion to approve those bond recommendations?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any public comments or questions? Very good, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Mr. Chairman, I raise my hand.
You're not a resident or a taxpayer, we've talked to you before.
Taxpayer.
Mr. Barry, you are not a taxpayer. If you continue to disrupt the meeting, I'm going to have you removed from the room.
I'm a taxpayer.
No, you're not.
I'm
not going to keep arguing with you. This is the last chance. Please be quiet and sit down.
I will decide this in the courtroom then.
Very good. Okay,
Sir?
please sit down or you'll be removed from the room. Right, we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone else with a comment? Thank you. We'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 11, I'm going to announce the Board of Supervisors meetings for 2026. The board meetings are scheduled for the first and third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. Except as noted. So today's meeting was the organizational meeting. It was scheduled at 5 p.m. on a Monday, the first one in the year. The other meetings that are being rescheduled are April the 23rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. That is rescheduled from the Tuesday, April 21st. May 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m. That is rescheduled from May the 19th. And November the 5th, 2026 at 6 p.m., which is rescheduled from November the 3rd. I'm going to announce the 2026 Township holiday schedule, on which dates the office will be closed. Thursday, January the 1st, New Year's Day. Monday, January the 19th, Martin Luther King Day. Monday, February the 16th, President's Day. Monday, May the 25th, Memorial Day. Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth Day. Friday, July 3rd, Independence Day, observed. Monday, September the 7th, Labor Day. Monday, October the 12th, Columbus Day. Wednesday, November the 11th, Veterans Day. Thursday, November the 26th, Thanksgiving. Thursday, December the 24th, Christmas Eve. And Friday, December the 25th, Christmas Day. Now I'm going to move on to agenda item number 13, which is possible adoption of resolution number 1, 2026, regarding fire, ambulance, and police response territories. So before the Board of Supervisors this evening is proposed resolution number 1, 2026. This is the annual resolution establishing the response territories for the police, fire, and emergency medical services, also known as EMS. The service providers outlined in the proposed resolution are as follows. Police service will be provided by the West Goshen Township Police Department. Fire support will be provided by Westchester Fire Department and Goshen Fire Company. Basic life support provided by Goshen Fire Company and Good Fellowship Ambulance Company, and advanced life support by Good Fellowship Ambulance Company. There is no proposed change to the coverage territories, so they're identical as those that were previously approved in 2025. Does the board have any questions or comments on the proposed resolution?
I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tina. I'm not proposing to read the resolution out. It's fairly straightforward. It's exactly the same as in previous years with respect to certainly the boundaries. Does anyone in attendance have a comment on the motion? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Next on the agenda is number 14, possible adoption of resolution number 2, 2026, adopting the emergency operations plan for West Goshen Township. So before the board this evening is resolution number 2, 2026. This is an annual resolution that adopts the township's emergency operations plan. There have been no changes to our knowledge related to the emergency operations plan since it was last approved in the organizational meeting in 2025. Does the board have any comments or questions about the resolution?
I have one. I guess with Andrea not being there anymore, do we have to update the EOP relative to certain members that are on it? You know, the deputy and
Potentially, I'll have to go back and take a look at
I
it.
thought it was neutral with respect to personnel, just by
I thought it was, but
positions.
I'm not sure.
I can go
Just by
back and check.
positions?
I can go back and check. I believe it is neutral on position, so it doesn't have to be updated if there's a change, but I'll go back and double check.
We should probably take a good look at that.
Okay, any other questions?
And we'll need a copy of it just so we sign off on the promulgation sheet.
Yeah, is it in the manual signature?
Well, there's a resolution that's adopted and gives
So
it
we
to
don't
county.
have to re-sign that?
Correct.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve resolution number 2, 2026, adopting the township's emergency operations plans. For a second.
Second.
Thank you, Nick. Any public comments or questions? Very good, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 15 is possible adoption of resolution number 3, 2026, setting the township manager's 2026 salary. So before the Board of Supervisors this evening is proposed resolution number 3, 2026. This is the annual resolution establishing the salary for the township manager pursuant to section 7.5 of the township's code of ordinances. The amount reflected has been allocated in the 2026 budget that was adopted by the board on December the 16th. I will read part of the resolution here. Be it resolved that the township's manager for 2026 shall be $185,181. I will move to adopt resolution number 3, 2026. Is there a second?
I'll second.
John, is there any public comment or questions? Okay, I'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 16 is discussion and possible approval of the township manager employment agreement.
Mr. Chairman, I think you might have skipped resolution number 4.
Or number 16.
I'm sorry, number 16. So, I'm sorry, so agenda item number 16 is possible adoption of resolution number 4, 2026, which establishes the compensation for members of the Planning Commission, Zoning Hearing Board, and the West Goshen Township Sewer Authority. This resolution will establish the pay rates for members of the Planning Commission, Zoning Hearing Board, and the West Goshen Township Sewer Authority. The township is authorized to compensate members of these bodies through the PA Municipalities Planning Code and the Municipal Authorities Act. Pursuant to these laws, as well as sections 1212 pertaining to the Planning Commission and 8471B3 pertaining to the Zoning Hearing Board, the compensation rates shall be set by a resolution. The proposed resolution would set the following compensation rates: Planning Commission $40 per meeting attended, Zoning Hearing Board $40 per meeting attended, and the West Goshen Township Sewer Authority $40 per meeting attended. The amounts are unchanged from 2025, and the pay is issued quarterly. For alternate members of the Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Board, they only receive compensation when they are designated as a voting alternate member of that respective body. Chris, I had one question on this. So, is this an annual resolution that is required by the Planning Code?
It is not required, but back in 2023, I believe it was determined that we would just include this as part of the annual organizational meeting.
Very good, thank you. Is there a board member willing to make a motion to approve resolution number 4?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there any public comment or
I
questions?
do have a question just for clarification. It's only the Planning Commission, Zoning Hearing Board, and the Sewer Authority that are allowed by the municipal code to be compensated. Is that correct?
That's correct. Many of the other establishing ordinances that create, like the Historic Commission, the Park and Recreation Board, the Sustainability Advisory Committee, those all say in the enabling legislation that they serve without compensation.
Okay.
Anyone in attendance have any questions or comments? Very good, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Now we'll move on to agenda item number 17, which is discussion and possible approval of the Township Manager Employment Agreement. So the board has established an employment agreement with the manager a couple of years ago, and the term of that agreement expired at the end of this meeting. So we are looking to approve the agreement with only the changes as of the salary that we've just approved, and a term that will expire 2 years from now to the organizational meeting in 2028. That's my understanding. Did I get that correct?
That's correct.
Very good. So I will make a motion to approve the Township Manager Employment Agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? No, is there any public comment or questions? Okay, I'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. We are up to agenda item number 18, discussion and possible approval of a revision to the West Goshen Township's general fee schedule. Chris, over to you.
Mr. Chairman, before the board this evening is a proposed revision to the township's general fee schedule. There are 3 changes on the fee schedule as outlined below. 2 of these are one that it was separated into 2 different fees. So the first is a renewal of expiring non-residential building permits from $50 to $100, and the second is a separation of fees for the reproduction of video footage between body and intersection cameras. It is currently set at just 1 flat fee for any type of camera footage. So those are the only 2 changes that are before the board this evening.
Thank you. Do the board have any questions on the proposed changes? Chris, the increase in the expiring building permit from $50 to $100 for the non-residential building permits, is that There's a big reason for that, to keep it in line with other townships?
It's to keep it in line with pay scales, just to cover our costs in the event that like plans need to be reviewed or things of that nature.
Okay, does this happen fairly often or not?
It's pretty rare.
Pretty rare.
I believe, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, I think under the building code, they're valid for a year, is that correct?
Yes, all your permits are valid for a year in the building code, and if work is not performed within 180 days from the issuance of the permit, if they don't start work, then it becomes an invalid permit and they have to extend it. And the fee in Unilogic for years has been $100, and it was just, this is bringing the fee schedule in line with what we've had in Unilogic for years.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board?
I have a question about the video reproduction cost. It's $100 for body camera footage and $500 for the intersection camera footage. Why the difference in the cost?
We did an analysis of other municipal rates, and for body camera footage, we found that $100 was acceptable per incident, and I believe, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the video camera footage, there's a lot of technicalities that are involved in that. It also involves working with the insurance companies, is that correct?
It's a large expense to produce those.
So it just costs more to do the intersection footage?
I don't know the difference between the cost of each, but I know the intersections are a large expense to the township.
I had one question relative to G, which is the on-site septic program. The $20, is that an annual administrative fee, or is that a one-time?
It's an annual, it's a fee when they have to have their system pumped out. They have to have their system pumped out and certified that it's been pumped out every so many years.
Every 3 years. And then my second question is, do we monitor that or enforce that? Make sure we have a system, make sure we do it every 3 years?
Yes, we do.
But they're probably getting out every
Yes,
3
we
years.
do. We send notification letters to those individuals, and Teal Jackson and our codes department monitors the individuals to pay.
Okay.
Brian, is there anything I missed?
So the only thing I would add is that maybe we should put that annual on there, because there's no indication as to the frequency of that fee is due. Like a permit's a one-time thing, but this is,
It's set by ordinance, I believe.
It says right after the administrative fee, proof of pump out required every 3 years.
I know, but the permit is an annual, correct? You pay $20 every
No,
year?
it's when you have to get it pumped out every 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The $20 is collected at the time you provide your proof of pump out. So you
Okay.
pay $20 every 3 years.
All right, so it's not annual, okay.
It's not annual.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, is a board member willing to make a motion to approve the general fee schedule for West Goshen Township for 2026?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any public comment or questions? Motion or the fee schedule? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 19 is a presentation regarding a proposed amendment to the West Goshen Township zoning ordinance to permit car washes in the C1 neighborhood commercial zoning district. Chris.
Mr. Chairman, we do have representatives here tonight to present to the board. So before the board this evening is a presentation requesting to permit car washes as a use by conditional use in the C1 neighborhood commercial district. Currently, car washes are only permitted as a use by conditional use in the C5 general highway commercial zoning district. I'll note that car washes are proposed to be a use permitted by conditional use in the neighborhood commercial zoning district, and the update to the zoning ordinance currently underway. I did provide a copy of the current zoning map for the township that outlines the locations of the C1 neighborhood commercial zoning district. The proposal was presented to the Land Planning Committee on November 12, 2025, where it was recommended to proceed forward to the board. The applicant is proposing this amendment in conjunction with a proposed redevelopment of the former Rite Aid Pharmacy site at 1307 Phoenixville Pike. If the board agrees with the proposal, the township solicitor would prepare the necessary zoning ordinance amendment, and as this is a land use amendment, the proposed ordinance would need to be reviewed by the township's planning commission and the Chester County Planning Commission as required.
Thank you, Chris. Would you like to introduce yourself? And we'll,
I'm sorry, this is Mark D'Amico. He is representing the applicant that's before the board.
Good evening, Mark D'Amico. I'm an attorney in media and here tonight representing Spotless Car Wash, and with me this evening in the front row here is Kester Kelly. She is a professional engineer with BL Companies, and she prepared the sketch plan And we also have Guy DiMartino, who's a professional engineer, traffic engineer, sitting in the back next to John Lombardo, Senior Development Manager, and our client. So just to reiterate what Chris said, the former Rite Aid site at Boot Road and Phoenixville Pike. Spotless is currently involved in several projects in counties surrounding Philadelphia to adaptively repurpose Rite Aid and other drugstore buildings that have become vacant. The 11 to 14,000 square foot drugstore size is an awkward size for redevelopment, but it works very well for a car wash. In C1 currently, this is not a permitted use, but we reached out to your township manager, had a meeting with him and your staff in October, and essentially we learned that this township is in the process of making some changes to the zoning ordinance, which would put this in a neighborhood commercial district and therefore allow a car wash by conditional use. So what we've essentially done is try to expedite that process, and so we actually petitioned the board to amend the zoning ordinance to allow the car wash use in this district as a conditional use. And then the first step, as Chris said, we went to the Land Planning Committee on November and made a similar presentation that we're going to make to you this evening, and they recommended that we proceed to the full Board of Supervisors, and thus we're here this evening. So if the Board of Supervisors is so inclined and would allow the advertisement, that would put us in a position to start the process, which again, first step would be a conditional use application, which would, and then we have some minor zoning variances as well. We're essentially repurposing the existing property, but for example, the existing impervious is a little above what's allowed. So we'd have to work with your township zoning officer to determine whether that is a non-conforming use or non-conforming condition that can remain, or whether we need to go to the zoning hearing board, in which event we'd have to go to the zoning hearing board first and then make a conditional use application. And as Chris said, we'd also have to appear before the Planning Commission, you all, with regard to the actual text amendment itself. So a lot of minutia and procedure, but essentially what we're asking, again, the board to do tonight is to consider whether you would be comfortable allowing the advertisement so that we could proceed. So with that as background, Kester is here she can review the site plan with you, if that pleases the board.
Yes, by all means.
By all means.
Yes, I have what you presented. Do you want the site plan, or do you want your 3D renderings?
Why don't we start with the site plan, the colored site plan, and then we can go to the 3D rendering.
While Mr. Kulikowski's pulling that up, I do want to point out that although the Land Planning Committee includes board members, we don't have as yet a full board review of the proposed total zoning ordinance changes that the Land Planning Committee and the consultant have been working on. So although this may be in there, it's entirely preliminary at this point that car washes would be in this particular zoning. So we haven't had a review of that yet. It's scheduled to be jointly reviewed with the Planning Commission towards the end of February, I believe. January. So just want to point out that the board is not directed, specifically the full board is not directed this use in what would be currently the C1 district.
Understood, thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kester Kelly. I'm with PL Companies. We're the civil engineer on this project. We're working with John and Spotless on several of these around the area. So I just kind of wanted to explain what we were looking to do in the site, because typically the first reaction is you're changing a Rite Aid into a car wash. How's that going to work? So as Mark mentioned, we are looking to reuse a lot of the existing site. We're reusing the building. Obviously, we're going to be changing it like aesthetically on the exterior, and a lot of the interior is going to be changed out, but we're keeping the shell of the building. We work really hard to work within the existing impervious of the site, and even in most cases kind of reduce that a little bit. So to that end, sorry,
I have what you presented to the Land Planning Committee.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
That works. I have a colored version I can hold up. But Essentially, this is the plan as we're looking. We're looking to utilize both of the existing entrances so the cars can circulate on site. They can circulate around and go to the right-hand side of the building. That's where the pay stations are. That's where you would stop and pay for your car wash or...
Would you mind using the pointer so
Okay,
everyone in the
sorry,
audience
thank
can
you.
understand it?
I'm gonna invest in one of these. So the pay stations are right here. This is where you're stop, pay for your car wash. If you're a monthly member, you'll have a pass and you can just zip on through. Then you're gonna circulate and enter into the building, and that's gonna be your wet wash. That's your typical car wash, right? You're gonna stay in your car, the exterior of your car is gonna get washed, and then you're gonna exit the building. At this point, you're either gonna do one of three things. And you're gonna get your car washed and you're gonna leave the site because you're done for the day. You're gonna circulate out and exit either exit. You're gonna circulate back around and go back into a queue line and enter back into the building where you go into one of two dry belts. These are more detailed belts. You're gonna pull into the building, you're gonna get out of your car, you're gonna go into an interior waiting room. The employees are gonna put your car on a conveyor belt and they're gonna clean out the inside of your car, wipe it out, wash it, vacuum it out. And then you'll get back in your car and you can leave. Or you can leave the wet tunnel and you can enter in one of the exterior vacuum spaces where you pull in and you vacuum out and clean out the interior of your car yourself. All of that is decided at the pay station based on what you pay for your car wash. So again, we are working very closely within all of the existing impervious of the site. We're maintaining the driveway locations and the building square footage. Just the drive-through of the CVS the Rite Aid will be removed. The car wash typically operates from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They have attendants on site. They typically have an attendant right at the pay stations to obviously help you if you need any help with that. Somebody entering you into the wet tunnel and then directing you around the site. So we do know that traffic and queuing is always a concern when it comes to car washes. I can let Guy speak to more detail, but just generally, we have gone through the effort of studying existing spotless car washes. So there's multiple sites like this, same configuration, one wet, two dry tunnels. Guy's team has gone down and studied those traffic, done actual counts. So we know what to expect in terms of peaks, in terms of queuing. And we know that we have adequate queuing on site so that there would not be a condition where cars would ever queue onto the roadway.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to present us? Okay, so does the board have any questions on the presentation or for any of the representatives here tonight?
Yeah, I have a question regarding the existing domestic and fire service lines and I guess the water service and also the sanitary sewer. It's anticipated that they're going to be adequate right now, but I'm just wondering from an engineering standpoint, were there any flow calculations or anything done to more kind of finalize that?
Not at this time. That's
piece.
something we would fully vet out during land development.
Okay.
Once, like we said, we have done several of these Rite Aid conversions into car washes, so we know kind of anecdotally from that perspective that it works. But, if this project moves forward, we would go into full design, where our full ASMEP team would determine the rates, we would do flow tests, we'd work through getting all of those designed and permitted.
Okay, then as far as contamination as a result of the debris on the cars and grease and various, is there any type of filtering system or anything to like a French drain or what kind of filtering
Sure,
system?
so all of the water that's used in the car wash is recycled. So it will enter into underground storage tanks. It's a series of a couple of tanks. They will recycle as much of the water as they can and kind of reuse it to wash the undercarriage of the car. But ultimately, it goes through settling tanks and then an oil water separator before it's discharged off site.
Okay, is there any carbon filtration or any type of filtering system or just an oil water separator?
Settling and oil water separator.
Okay.
We have also studied some existing sites and the effluent that leaves the site of what is still there, because a lot of the detergents that are used are biodegradable and kind of break down in the process throughout this. And really what we found is the most notable thing leaving the site is the salt on the cars.
Okay, and what was the sampling of the effluent? Was there any contaminants or anything in it? You said you did sampling of the effluent.
We did. I mean, I don't have an exact recall, but we can provide the data. But generally, we've presented this to other townships, and they haven't had any concerns with what was leaving the site and into their wastewater treatment plant. Like I'm saying, all of the detergents and stuff that are used in the car wash operations are biodegradable, so they really kind of break down before they leave the site. There's going to be some, you know, oil and small amount of debris, and then a lot of that is captured through the oil water separator. And really the only item that was kind of higher was the sodium that is with the salt that they put on the roadway.
Because I was mainly concerned more with the contamination than the solvents.
Sure.
And filtering that out or getting some type of
Yeah, I think
sampling
the
results.
oil water separator does a really good job with that, but we can provide that data as we move forward in the process.
That would be great, thank you.
I have a question, Chris, on does the effluent sanitary sewer here go to West Whiteland, or does it come all the way over down to the treatment plants? Because I think on the north side of the township, some of these locations are part of our agreement with West Whiteland.
I believe it goes to West Whiteland, but I can verify that with Mr.
Because we
Monk.
might need to make sure they're aware of this proposed use as well.
I have a question at the Land Planning Committee. This is brought up. This particular area where you're proposing to put this is surrounded by an R4 district, which is residential. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's going to be a fair amount of activity and noise there. How are you going to buffer this facility that you're proposing from the residents that's surrounding, as far as the noise is concerned?
So we intend to comply with the noise requirements of the township, and we don't anticipate any, additional noise. There are different mechanisms in terms of what can be used on site, in terms of the type of blowers. A lot of that is housed within the building itself.
So in way of further response, we did note, and as a result of that comment from the Land Planning Committee, Mr. Lombardo, on behalf of Spotless, did commission a noise study, which is something that is typical, right? Traffic noise. So that study is in its preliminary phases, but they're aware of the township's specific noise ordinance. They've looked at the site specifically, and the preliminary conclusion is that without anything fancy, if you will, in terms of noise attenuation, that they believe that the noise ordinance will be easily able to meet the noise requirements. That would certainly be something that we would present back to this board at the conditional use hearing. And at that point in time, of course, the study would be in final form. But we're not expecting or anticipating that any of those neighbors in the townhouses to the back are going to have any problems with noise.
Yeah, so just reflecting on that, so we have a C1 district now, which is different from some of our other main commercial districts, and the key thing is it abuts residential neighborhoods. So obviously we've limited, there were reasons in the past that certain uses were limited, and car wash was not one. So historically, car washes are associated with a lot of noise and potentially a lot of traffic relative to being adjacent to commercial, to neighborhoods. So what has changed in the last 20 years that makes car washes, in your opinion, suitable to be adjacent to neighborhoods?
Yeah, it's a good question. John, you want to?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm John Lombardo. I'm with Spotless Brands. Flagship is the brand of car wash we're going to roll out here. To answer your question, I don't know exactly the history of car wash technology 20 years ago. I can tell you that we have a significant investment in the technology that we're currently using. And as Mark had mentioned and Kesher, we can add silencers on our equipment, put in special liners in the building architecture, but we'll easily be able to accommodate the ordinances of the township. Will really be no higher, maybe even lower than the existing background noise in the area. That's what we expect. But when we finalize our sound study, we'll be able to present that at conditional.
Yep.
Okay, just to follow up on that, so
First
not
of
sure if
all-
I answered your question.
No, I think
About 20 years
you're on
ago,
the
I
right
really
track.
don't know, but it's definitely,
Well, it's in
car
a
wash
building,
technology
lots of it's
equipment.
enclosed, which is good, so that's a difference probably from what it used to look like.
Yes.
So did I hear that the proposed operation is 8 AM to 8 PM?
Yes.
Okay, and that would be something that would be discussed at a conditional use hearing, obviously. Mr.
I might add that the car wash vacuums are shut down at 8 o'clock, like if people came in. There will be no vacuuming of the cars after 8 o'clock, site shut
You're
down.
talking about those external vacuum sites
Yes.
as well, right? Okay. And Mr. D'Amico mentioned that the traffic study, that the noise study was, he mentioned traffic in the same sentence. I'm assuming the noise study would assess things like the blowers, the air dryers that you have, these external vacuum points as well. All of those sources of noise will be part of this noise study, not just the traffic noise.
That is correct.
Okay. And would the equipment that you're proposing come with noise mitigation already, like such things as silencers, or would you want that to be addressed as part of a conditional use? Is that how you're seeing this play out?
We have the technology that we can build into the design of the building. So whatever the specific ordinance is, which I think is not only 65 decibels,
Yes.
we'll put in the necessary mitigation to meet the
Yeah.
ordinance.
I mean, one issue we run into with other situations, nothing related to car washes, but other noise situations adjacent to communities is not just a noise level, but a tone, a frequency, a pitch that is annoying. So it's not loud, it's just an electrical noise that is constant, or humming, if you like a transformer type hum. Is there any operation that you envisage at this car wash facility that could create that kind of constant, low frequency noise?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I believe there's certain octaves within these sound studies.
One thing that came up at the land planning meeting was that you have some of these car washes adjacent to other residential areas, right? They're in operation already.
Yes.
You have other sites. Have you received a lot
We
of
have
complaints from people?
None. We have 15, and I looked this up last time we were here. We have 15 car washes in the greater Maryland, Virginia, Washington DC area. We're Flagship, it's the brand that we're rolling out, adjacent to residential areas. And our operations folks have said, good neighbors and really no issues.
And you've had kind of, I guess, good luck with traffic and queuing and not stacking onto the road with the design that you're proposing?
Absolutely, and a guy can testify to that. We did a study in those same stores that we just talked about.
Okay.
Just to go back to sound, just to clarify, the pay stations don't make any noise, like it's not like a drive-through, like a fast food, there's no speaker, there's nothing to talk to you, so there's no noise generated at the pay stations. Again, the blowers of when you leave the wet wash, the blowers to dry your car is a source of noise. This is located, away from the residential, it's pointing towards the roadway. And then the vacuum space is the producer, like the actual motor that creates the suction, that is centralized. It's not at each vacuum, and that can be enclosed in a structure, and that can help with those mitigations.
That's useful,
So
thank you.
I think that the sound study we would do would address specifically the type of blower, the type of products we would be using on this site to accurately predict the sound. It wouldn't just be general, like this is what a car wash could do. It would be the actual measures that would be implemented on this site.
And just to follow up with this whole discussion, and this would be part of the conditional use if it gets to that point, are you also anticipating any vegetation barrier that would help mitigate the noise as well as the site of this location for the neighbors as part of your plan?
So we are in favor of doing as much vegetative screening as we can. This site is challenging just based on the current configuration, right? Like, again, that's a constraint of working with where the building itself is, right? We didn't cite this location. So, we do have to provide space for adequate turning in and out of the building. So along this perimeter, it is pretty tight. We can look for planting as much of the vegetation as possible, potentially fences or screening, other mechanisms. I don't think that will be needed from a sound perspective, but that's something we can definitely investigate.
Other questions from the board? Was there any questions at the Land Planning Committee related to traffic, the initial study that's been done here by DPD?
Traffic's always the
It's
discussion.
always
Like,
the
we're never
discussion.
gonna talk about a car wash and traffic's not gonna come up. You know, we did talk about it. We did talk about how we've taken the real world data of going to study these similar sites that flagship operates. You wanna, yeah, guys?
Yeah.
traffic-
Well, welcome back, Mr. DiMartino. As you know, we're very skeptical about the manual's view of what traffic flow comes from a particular use, but please go ahead.
Interesting enough, that for this specific car wash, we did collect specific data for the specific operation. The reason being predominantly because of the size of this building. Most typical car washes are 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square feet. This one is 11,000 square feet roughly. So as mentioned, there's a number of these similar type spotless flagship car washes proposed in this region. One of the first ones that we worked on, which is under construction now, is in Phoenixville. And as part of going through that approval process with PennDOT and the borough, we collected, it was required of us to collect data at similar operating facilities like this one. Currently, as you've heard, there's a number of them in the DC area, so we collected, we observed 4 sites, I think 2 in Virginia, 2 in Maryland, which are similar in size. And based on that information, we developed trip generation rates based on the size of the building. We looked at queuing, and we've since used that data for easily probably 12 plus 15 active sites within this region that we're actively working on. That data has been accepted by PennDOT and other municipalities.
And did your initial analysis suggest that for the main part, that this new use, this car wash, would generate less traffic than a thriving Rite Aid would have, but other than certain peak periods? Is that correct?
Yeah, on a typical weekday, a 24-hour period of operations of both the Rite Aid use and this proposed car wash use, yes, the Rite Aid use would generate more traffic than this proposed car wash.
And what were the periods of time when the car wash could generate more traffic than a pharmacy store?
Saturday afternoon, which I don't think would shock anybody in this room.
So it's 14 more trips on Saturday.
Yeah, 14 additional new trips on Saturday peak hour. And regarding the traffic study, just earlier today, we did submit a traffic study scoping application to PennDOT, copied the township. That's the first step in the traffic study process to set the parameters of the traffic study. So that was just submitted today.
Other questions for Mr. DiMartino or anyone else from the board? I want to open it up to anyone in attendance who might have a question for these folks. Doug?
Yes, I have 2 questions. First one is, are you going to be using these big commercial water softeners that backwash you saw?
So we don't, Spotless doesn't add any salt into their systems.
But you will be using water softeners, right? To make it spotless?
I'm not quite sure. Do you have that answer, John?
There's the technology, and I'm not fluent exactly, but basically there's a whole series of pieces of equipment, reverse osmosis technology, and some other ozone treating machines that basically will get the spots out of the rich water.
So you're using the whole building RO technology?
Yes.
With no salt? So you won't have to worry about backwashing and putting it into the sewers and all that?
I guess I'm not fluent on your terminology for backwashing, but
yeah, most water softeners backwash. I got to know what and the second question is, this is going to be the first commercial car wash in the township, I think. The other one we have around here that everybody knows is Pete's. It used to be White Glove down on Market Street. That place has been there forever. On it. when we get snowstorms and everybody's covered with salt, that place is mobbed. And they line up around, going around Gay Street. I'm sorry?
It's god awful.
Yeah.
I almost got hit twice.
So, but that being said, it's not, it's in a commercial area. The borough has lived with it for years and years, and it's good the place is there, but I mean, we'd be concerned about that here. And then there's runoff onto the street. That's normal, I guess. But they can get real busy, those car washes, so just.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pete's, yeah?
Well, actually, we just acquired Pete's. So,
There you go.
so the 6 Pete's are now part of our company.
Oh, wow.
So we'll be
Alright,
going through the process of rebranding it. So I'm not familiar with the technology in those particular stores or the store you mentioned, sir.
But I think as far as traffic goes, I mean, and Doug, you're right, that car wash really can stack onto the street and
It's
just mess
god
everybody
awful.
up.
Yeah.
And there's water, it's always kind of, you know, an issue. When
It is, not to interrupt, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but
sure.
it is an older design site, you know, I'm familiar with it. I actually worked on the project that went across the street, you know, those new apartments. So I'm familiar with it. I know that water is an issue. I don't anticipate that here. You know, one of the things that Spotless does implement is heated concrete at the exterior of there so that it doesn't. If there is any water, you know, newer technology, we're not anticipating the cars to be wet at all when they leave the wet tunnel, but if there is any drippage, you know, the heated concrete usually takes care of that. It prevents any kind of ice accumulation in the winter.
Okay.
So I live right on Phoenixville Pike. Will there be any
Would
runoff?
you mind stating your name for the
Oh, I'm
record?
Patty Howe, and I live off of Phoenixville Pike. Phoenixville Pike floods. It floods all the time as you head down the hill to Boot Road. Like, if you guys add more water, does all your water go into the sewer? Like, or is there runoff that I have to worry about? Because it already floods on a normal rainstorm. So if you're adding more water to the table right there, that's not going to be a good thing.
So we'll have 2 water sources, right? We're going to have the water that is used in the car wash operations, inside the building to clean the car. That will not run off on the site at all. That will go all through the holding tank, soil water separator, and out to the sanitary sewer system. The surface water of the parking lot, the drive aisles, will be entered into the storm sewer system.
Which what I'm telling you, if you stand on the storm cellar, right there before the red light, it's up to my knees. So if you're adding water to the system,
we're not adding any water to the system. So that's the advantage of working on a site that's already developed, right? And reusing it. That impervious exists today, even though the Rite Aid's not operational. So we're going to be reusing that, and we're actually reducing the amount of impervious on site.
my next question is, and I know this is crazy, what is the lighting? Like, can the lights be dimmed at 8 o'clock when, you know, it turns off? Because some of these new lights they put in are god-awful. Like, it's daylight at midnight. And if you're in a residential area, I don't want it to be daylight at midnight.
And I understand that, and I know that I've been doing this with John long enough to know that he will be happy to comply with ultimately what the township wants, whether it's light. Sometimes they want it lit for safety reasons. They don't want people to be on site, but we can work with the township and their consultants on what they want, and maybe it's reduced light after closing, and that's totally, we're happy to comply with what works best.
And the other thing is, I'm really interested in the traffic because it is bumper to bumper, starting at about 6:30, heading towards Route 100 till about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on a weekday. And if you're heading in the afternoon to come home, it's bumper to bumper going home. So that's a concern.
So what's your peak, like what are the peak hours for this car wash?
So when we evaluate the peaks for the purpose of the traffic study, we look at the commuter peaks. So generally, for these type of uses, we've been evaluating the evening peaks at 1 hour between 4 and 6 p.m., whatever that 60-minute period is that falls between that commuter peak. And then on Saturday afternoon, 1 hour between 11 a.m. roughly to 1 p.m., middle of the day.
I
So we
guess
look-
I need to rephrase my question. When do most people go and wash their cars?
So it roughly falls within that time period. As part of our studies, when I said we observed 4 existing facilities, we did our counts through coordination with the reviewing bodies. We did our counts between 4 and 6 p.m. and then also on a Saturday between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. to coincide with general the traffic when traffic's highest on the adjacent roadways. So you superimpose that additional traffic that's going to be added by this given application on top of the existing peak traffic that's already out there.
So you're saying that most customers will use the car wash during the morning,
The evening.
The
rush,
evening.
and the evening between 4 and 6?
Well, the car wash usage will be the heaviest on the Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
We also, because it's a requirement of PennDOT and most municipalities, we also look at the evening peak because that has a lot of, certainly, heaviest traffic during those commuter time periods.
And they're just pulling off from their commute home to go and get their car
A
washed?
large portion of that traffic will be what we refer to as pass-by traffic that's already on the road. It's going to travel past this site with or without a car wash being there. But there will be some traffic that is new to the area also. Say, for example, traffic that you're at your house, you come to this to get a car wash and you go back home. So there is going to be some new traffic, but there will also be some traffic that's kind of captured by vehicles currently on the adjacent roadways.
Will this be subject to that same rule that you guys have about the grade of the intersection?
It will be, yes.
What's the current grade of the intersection?
We have not, I don't know that yet. That's part of the traffic study. When we do the traffic study, I will have that grading system, and that's that's the critical point of the traffic study.
And do you have to meet what threshold for traffic in order for this to be approved?
We have, I'll speak from a PennDOT perspective, we have to maintain the existing level of service or be within a 10-second, we have a 10-second allowance where the average delay can increase by up to 10 seconds. So we don't, if there's, for example, this is a level of service A, we could maintain a level of service A at the intersection, or there's some instances it could fall to a level of service B, so long as the average delay is within 10 seconds of the existing operations.
Okay. So I mean, there are some controls to mitigate traffic or additional traffic to these intersections, and you guys have to follow what PennDOT really essentially tells
Yes,
you.
yeah, we're gonna have to go through the PennDOT process, comply with all their comments in order to obtain the necessary approvals, as well as any comments the township engineer will have, township traffic engineer will have.
Just talking about traffic, we do have a couple of resident complaints about traveling eastbound on Boot Road, inability because of no left turn lane to turn north on Phoenixville Pike at that intersection. I believe that's the case. So it could be that as part of this whole process that could happen, we may be looking to see is there an improvement that could be done in traffic flow, including a dedicated small left turn lane with a traffic signal from Boot Road onto northbound Phoenixville.
Okay, thanks for that notice.
I want to go back to the stormwater management on the site. This is separate from the sanitary sewer process fluid that water that you're using. So Brian, is this redevelopment going to trigger any need to comply with our current stormwater management ordinance for the impervious area?
It depends on the level of disturbance on the site. And most likely they're going to disturb enough of the site with the reconfiguration of the two ends of the building to allow access, and the reconfiguration of the parking area to the west, that they may trigger the minimum disturbance threshold. Have you calculated an area disturbance yet for the site?
We have not. I do believe it will be less than an acre, but I'm not sure.
Our stormwater kicks in at 10,000 square feet of disturbance.
I would anticipate us being over 10,000 square feet and
Yeah.
under an acre.
So, okay, so they would have to comply with our full stormwater ordinance, which is where the existing impervious in the area disturbances would be considered 40% meadow in their modeling calculations, so.
Okay, so it's likely they're going to have to do some kind of infiltration of some sort, or?
They'll do something, yes, there's multiple technologies
Okay.
they can use.
So to this lady's question about stormwater being an issue in that area, a redevelopment of this site, assuming there is a trigger to have to put in best management practice for this current ordinance, it will likely improve the amount of stormwater running off this site at a peak
Yes.
time.
Yes, it will significantly reduce the amount of water running off the site.
Any board, just board, any other questions? Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, if somebody's traveling east on Boot Road, are you figuring they're going to be making a left up Phoenixville Pike to get access to the car wash? They're not going to be making a left off of Boot Road directly into the car wash, are they?
No, you can't
No.
go in there.
Right.
You have to go on through there. Yeah.
And vice versa, when leaving the car wash, they won't be able to be traveling further east on Boot Road, correct? Unless they get back onto Phoenixville Pike.
Yes, both statements you made are accurate. The Boot Road access is proposed to be right in, right out. So yes.
I don't know what the design would look like for this exit onto Boot Road, where it's right only exit onto Boot Road, so westbound. But we've had some issues with our current redevelopment of commercial properties where we have the same situation and people still try to make a left turn onto, in this situation, and back onto Boot Road. So as part of any design there, I would really like to see something that made it impossible to do that. Just as a heads up again.
And PennDOT's going to have the same comment. What's referred to the pork chop island separating ingress and egress, it's very narrow. I think, looking at some historical photos, it looks like left turns, maybe, at one time it looked like there might have been a placard restricting, time restriction for exiting lefts, but the way the pork chop island is constructed today, lefts out were permitted at one time. But that island would certainly have to be enlarged as we go through the PennDOT process.
Okay. Other folks with questions? Steve, start with you.
Is this typical of the size of the lot you're building on? Because it just seems to me there's really, you've built this out pretty much to the edge of the property. There's no setbacks, green space is very limited.
So I'll say we're majority working within the site that's already been developed. So in very small instances are we actually like increasing like area where impervious is. So this site currently is pretty built out in terms of where the building is, where the limits of pavement are. We're substantially working within that.
Just a clarification, so you're saying it's already non-conforming probably with our ordinance for this?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Polakowski brought up an aerial kind of showing the existing development footprint.
Yeah, so if, and this is something we can provide if we can move forward with this project as an overlay, but most of the area the building stays the same, the driveway locations stay the same, the limits of pavement, asphalt are substantially the same. So, anything from where the pavement is, closer to the property line, that's an existing condition that we're trying to work within. In terms of the size of the lot is very similar to, I don't know, I think I'm doing like 30 of these projects right now. I might have lost count, but it's, as you kind of anecdotally, right, the Rite Aid's shops are all very similar and the lots are very similar. So
The reason I asked
very
that, we just
consistent.
have another commercial that's built within an existing space. And they basically build out probably larger than they should, trying to kind of wedge in, 5 pounds or 2 pound bottles. And this kind of reminds me of something similar to that. We're really trying to fit too much into the existing space. And maybe this was too much to start with. Maybe this building was too large, but now you got more traffic in driveways, kind of filtered into it. And to Doug's point, the car wash on Market Street is pretty much backed up on Market Street or on Scott Street at any given day like today.
And that does not have adequate queuing and circulation.
Right, and
So
I mean, they only
don't
have
recognize that.
have room there for probably six cars in each lane. So I would anticipate this backing up onto Boot Road.
Well, again, just to highlight what Mr. DiMartino was saying earlier, we studied a similar condition for several purposes, but the main purpose, making sure that we have adequate stacking to stay off of the road. And our stacking, what's our stacking number? Got
17.
We have 17 stacking spots. So
It's all about real world. Market Street tomorrow morning, and you're gonna.
Understood. Understood.
Having known that place, you're gonna be dealing with that too. But I have concerns about that, and I've also got concerns about cars exiting the car wash. Because particularly on Market Street, where they exit the aisle, there's one or two lanes, or one or two spots where you exit, okay, and come back onto the street. And my fear of always going in there, quite frankly, is I'm not gonna be able to get back on the street if somebody's parked there. And then
They're waiting to get into the car wash.
So I'm just trying to play this in the real world. Yeah,
Thank you.
You guys are the experts, but, you know.
Yeah, I understood. I mean, like I said, that is, even though John owns that car wash now, we didn't design that. It's an older layout. It's a whole different really configuration than what we're looking for. On here, it's a different type of product. The fact that we have the one wet and the two dry tunnels, it creates a different traffic pattern. It's not like everybody's doing the same thing. So that also helps kind of spread out the traffic on the site. But we fully understand the concern about not queuing on the roadways. And, we know we can prove that as we go through this permit, that won't be a problem.
Okay, anyone else with questions? There's a lady at the back. Would you mind stating your name, please?
Yes, Stephanie Finley, I live on Gale Road, which is 2 roads up from this intersection. This intersection is a big part of my life. I have 5 kids, driving them everywhere, and it has increasingly become a source of great frustration for me, just trying to get in and out of my house. With that being said, I'm delighted to hear discussion about development of the writing, whatever ends up there. The former 7-Eleven has been empty for almost 15 years, and we just are dying for something to get in there just because that intersection looks so sad. So I have so many questions. I'll just kind of rattle them off. But I thought what I read in your study was that you're using the existing storm sewer system, which is a 4-inch drain going to an 8-inch. Is that what?
That's the sanitary sewer, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think that's, I don't know the exact size, so I don't want to speak, but for those like pipe sizes, that would be more of a sanitary sewer flow than a storm sewer flow.
I see. Okay, thank you. And you said that you have noise studies in progress for
this exact site.
But how can you do a noise study if there's no car wash there?
Good question.
It's a great question, yes. So they know the sound generation from the different equipment. So they use they use software modeling, and they can put it in a program that says, at the exit of your wet tunnel, that's where your blowers are to dry your car, and they know the exact type of equipment. That's why I say we're going to model what they plan to put there. They know that exact sound, and they can put that point, and then they know what it's going to be like around the perimeter and how much sound will decrease as you go farther away from it.
But if you have 15, if you already have 15 spot washes in the 3-state area, and you said you have 4 that abut residential areas?
So 15 abut.
Yeah, they have like 60.
Can you not provide the noise studies from those to this board so that, including like decibels and like all the whatever numbers, just so that there's something harder.
Yeah, I mean that's not so much like a study then. That's more like taking noise levels of those car washes, which we could do. There are factors with with sound in terms of the type of equipment, right? Like John said, they're proposing to put the newest type of equipment in this car wash, right? So like the Pete's isn't gonna have the same equipment as this one does initially. So some of those are older technology. There's other factors that goes into it, but I mean, I think ultimately, you know, John's probably willing to comply with if there is levels that we would need to provide, but we would want it to be as accurate as possible. And we really feel like a sound study, which I would say is like the standard of the engineering standard of how you measure this for this site, using the exact building location, using the exact, you know, sound of the traffic that's there, the location of the property line and everything. It's robust.
Just to follow up on that, we had a situation with Westchester University Pump House and noise concerns from residents close to that. So as part of a upgrade that was being made to that facility, during a conditional use hearing, they agreed to do, first of all, a study, and then, you know, that then provided the noise levels at the boundary of the particular property, and also agreed to follow up post-implementation of the improvement to ensure that those sound levels were being met. So that is a way to manage that particular concern, I think.
If I may, you have, if I'm looking at that the diagram correctly, it looks like you could stack 12 to 14 cars, double stack, waiting.
It's 17. We typically count queuing up to the entrance of the wet tunnel, even past the pay station.
Okay. And how do you account for pollution, like just car fumes while we're waiting? How do you study that? I know that if I lived on the other side of, you know, on either corner, I would probably lose my eye if I had to smell running cars.
So just to be clear, we show that we can stack that many cars, but we don't anticipate that many cars being stacked on any kind of regular basis. You know, there's a afternoon Saturday peak with that, but that is not, the anticipation is there is not 17 cars there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day.
What is your anticipation? And let's just in a day, what is your hope for a successful business? Like how many cars do you need to service in any phase of this to have a successful business? I mean, I know the answer is as many as possible, but.
I don't have the figure right with me right now, but it's normally like 400 to 500 cars or washes a day would be a successful business. And that's staggered across that 12-hour shift from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And there's going to be times when there's cars might be queued up like 14. There will be times when there's only 4 or 2 for a day.
So, and thinking about my usage of car washes, which is probably less than your average car owner, it seems like you would be attracting more traffic to this intersection rather than just enticing the folks that use it regularly to pull in for a car wash. So, and to my mind, pulling more people into the intersection at any time of day is a heavy load on that intersection where, you know, you have the 202 exit just a little bit down the road where it is often stacked all the way to Phoenixville Pike, which then means that someone like me who lives in Greenville Terrace, I am obeying the left turn laws, but I am cutting through my neighbor's neighborhood because I cannot sit at that light until I get a left turn to go, I guess it's south of Phoenixville. Like this is just a reality that the traffic is horrendous coming, I guess it's east on Boot. There's already a dangerous intersection that forks off for Ship, where people are, you know, taking their lives in their hands, trying to make a veer left to go on Boot. There's already a left turn I would love to have a successful business there, but 400 to 500 a day, that sounds a lot more traffic than I want to see.
So as part of the traffic study process that we talked about with PennDOT, we are going to have to evaluate how that added traffic, what it does to the intersection, and what improvements are needed to mitigate the impact of this application. One thing I would note, when we do that, obviously the Rite Aid's not there, it's not operational today, but going back to the prior discussion, when the Rite Aid was operational, that Rite Aid actually would generate more traffic than this proposed application on a typical weekday. But like I mentioned, with that said, we are still, when we do the traffic study, we're not taking a credit for the Rite Aid traffic, we're doing it based on existing counts, and then adding this application's anticipated additional traffic on top of that to determine the operation. So we will further evaluate that through the traffic study process.
Yeah, but I mean, a Rite Aid, like a walk-in store, you're parking, you're turning from, you're going in for anywhere from, 10 minutes to, I remember it's been an hour and a half, wandering Rite Aid. So it's a little different usage, I guess. The traffic is, the pulling traffic is one thing, but the time amount spent there is a different thing.
Right, and we'll work through that traffic study process with the township and PennDOT and provide that information.
My last question is, I'm new to township meetings, but I just happen to catch my head that the zoning officer is not here. And does that need to be, she needs to be here for a zoning discussion?
She's sick.
Okay, thank you.
So, I lived there for 20 years. You're telling me that Rite Aid had 400 to 500 cars a day? Because I find that very hard to believe. They didn't have that much traffic in the parking lot.
So again, the trip generation for Rite Aid is based on industry standard data we're held to as traffic engineers for that given use. But as I noted, when we did the traffic study, that's just for comparison, when I'm comparing the Rite Aid traffic to this proposed car wash application. When I do the traffic study for this given proposed spotless car wash, it's as if the Rite Aid was never there. We're just looking at existing traffic, adding the proposed car wash traffic on top of the existing traffic. Really, that number.
She has a very good point, though. If you can't get into the car wash that we already have in Westchester, and you're heading to Westchester, and you get off at 202 to go down to your car wash, you've not only increased the traffic on Boot Road to the car wash, you've increased the traffic from Phoenixville Pike into Westchester, which can be a disaster. It can take you forever to get from my house into Westchester, because Phoenixville Pike, during those hours of commute, it can be bumper to bumper from the bypass all the way past Greystone's red light, almost to Green Hill Road. So you gotta think, okay, I can get my car washed here. It's probably gonna be easier, there's a new car wash. So you guys gotta think about, it's not just, it could be traffic all the way around there.
Hey, Chris, or maybe Brian, I don't know, what uses are allowed by right in that zoning district right now? Who would be able to come move in with no questions asked or input from us at all?
So any kind of retail establishment, let me just pull up the zone.
I have it up in front of me here. So it could be retail sales, personal service establishment, an office building, a medical clinic, municipal, county, state, or federal use, a bank, forestry, because it has to be allowed in every district, a mini warehouse or self-storage facility permitted by right, accessory uses to the aforementioned permitted uses, including a home-related business, a learning center, so you can put a school there, or a charter school. Daycare is a separately defined use, probably. And then you have conditional use, which would be a church, a field parlor, single-family detached dwellings, as conforms to the R3, a pharmacy, drugstore, and/or a marijuana medical dispensary, and a convenience store without sale of fuel. Those are the 5 permitted uses by conditional use that could go there. So there's some that could be a much heavier peak use at a certain time for, say, a funeral parlor or a church, or some could be heavier at all times, and some could be not as nice to look at, like a mini warehouse self-storage facility. But that is permitted by right, so we could go in there and build that tomorrow.
So my next question is, if we say, okay, we can live with a car wash there, and we change the zoning, does that change it throughout the township?
So the
So
process.
does that make it so he could go to another neighborhood instead of?
Well, it depends on the locations of the zoning district. So the
Okay.
C1 zoning district has certain locations in other areas of the township. Another example of it is at the intersection of Green Hill Road, Pottstown Pike, and also along High Street by heading south on High Street towards like Westtown, that area.
Mhm.
So that's where the C1
Like where Parkway is?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's where the C1 zoning district is currently located. I believe there's some small pockets along Westchester Pike as well. But they also have to meet area and bulk regulations. They have to go through the conditional use process to meet the minimum lot size requirement. Well, the area and bulk meets the minimum lot size requirements, but they'd also have to go through the conditional use process, which generally is a use by right, but it allows the Board of Supervisors to put stricter requirements on it through that process.
Okay.
So tonight, if they vote tonight, it's to move forward with just revising the zoning ordinance. And there could be a 2 to 3 step process still with the development of the site, where they go through the process of at least a conditional use, potentially a zoning hearing board application, and then still come back after all. Those two go through for land development, where they go through the process of actually designing the plan with all the detail and go through the review process to demonstrate on their plans how they comply with the land development ordinance, with the zoning ordinance, with the stormwater ordinance, with the noise ordinance. That's all vetted through those processes.
Okay.
Tonight is just talking about if the board would allow the petition to move forward to revise the zoning ordinance to allow this use as a conditional use in the C1 district.
Is this an exception for this project or for all the C1s?
So all of your C1s, which I have the zoning map up, so anything that's gray, so you see there's a little gray, there's a spot up here, here's where it is, and there's a few you can see C1s along.
Well, no, but it's important to point out that we've been undergoing a zoning update, and the new map that the committee preliminarily has put together would be the C5, I think, right? We're condensing things.
Well, it would condense a lot of the
We're trying
zoning,
to
the commercial
condense
zoning
zoning
districts.
Right, and we're trying to, I guess, map out the township so that things make sense, so that we don't have uses that aren't appropriate, you know.
Next to each other.
Next to each other.
And one thing about, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I mean, this came up at the land planning committee, like, why do you need this now if we're gonna probably be passing this update in the next 6 months? And your response is?
Our response is we would love to get started next site. The site is a long process, as you know, to go through. We're talking about probably another, to the township engineer's point, and we're talking about 10 months or a year of engineering and planning. And the owner of the property is not going to just wait around forever. If we told them it's going to be a year from now before this is rezoned neighborhood commercial and the car wash would be permitted by conditional use, that would not be an acceptable response, I don't think.
So if this proceeds, when do you anticipate construction, and when do you think it would be up and running?
Well, again, the process as explained to me by the township manager would be, the best case scenarios would be able to make a conditional use application and start the land development planning process, which is a several week process, in the next month or two. And then we need PennDOT highway occupancy permit. We're going to have to establish that we meet the standards for the township stormwater ordinance. So it's going to be another 10 months to a year of permitting. And then, yeah, and then if you're lucky, you could get a building and a grading permit, right after that. So at least a year is conservative.
The one thing to keep in mind about the conditional use process is the conditional use process goes through a quasi-judicial process There's a court reporter, there's specific notice that's issued, so anyone within so many feet of the project site, I believe under the zoning ordinance, it's 500 feet, gets notification of the hearing. You can request party status, you can come present information, present testimony, you can ask questions. So this isn't your only opportunity to ask questions. If the board does authorize a zoning ordinance amendment, there will be a full formal hearing where you will have an opportunity to ask questions and, you know, have a further say in this.
And this process for the zoning amendment, what they're requesting, like, if the board authorizes, that it still has to go through the whole process to go through the amendment process.
That's correct.
This is just step one of probably formal steps, 6 to 8 formal steps in front of meeting bodies. This is the first step. So even if the board votes tonight, there's still a whole nother process going through the actual hearing to adopt the ordinance.
This is not the end. This
doesn't do anything with the adopt. This is just if they're interested in authorizing the township solicitor to prepare the new ordinance that then they would discuss. Then it gets advertised, and then it gets a zoning a hearing for the ordinance adoption. Once that's adopted, then they move forward through whatever process that ordinance lays out. And the first one, which is already discussed, will be a conditional use. So that's a whole nother hearing process, a formal hearing here.
Mr. Carl, you have a question?
David Town. So it's premature really to be talking about the parking, but I got some questions anyway. So when you're doing the traffic, Phoenixville Pike, making a left in there, hopefully that's included in that in your study because their sight lines are terrible. And I know coming out that way,
yeah, you're right at the top.
coming out that way. So that's just one side. If your stack is more than 17, is there a remediation plan on site that the manager can do?
Yes, there is. So 17 is, pretty much kind of where cars are here. Like we can, one of the things that Spotless does is they have employees on site. They have employees on site at the pay stations, as well as walking around with the vacuums. So they're going to have people out there monitoring the situation. If there becomes a condition for some reason that there's additional cars, there is more staffing on site that can occur. Spotless has done a lot of things on existing sites with, different, cones and barriers. They can close off this exit entrance, to not allow cars if for some reason this is blocked. So that is something that they can do. They're going to be monitoring it. It's not like an automatic thing where there's not going to be eyes on it. They don't want people to have trouble coming in and out of their car wash either. But there is relief on site. Additionally, up here we have a connection. So when you go through the pay stations, you intend to go through the wet tunnel. We call this like an escape lane. So for some reason, if you couldn't get your car washed, the examples I use are like you forgot your wallet, you can't pay for the car wash, or you forgot you had a bike on top of your car and you're not going to fit. That allows you to, with the employee's help, to circulate around the site and leave that way without blocking the cars, right? It's not like you're causing people to back up. So, the idea is to definitely have that continuous circulation.
Just curious, is this a franchise operation or is it run by a corporation with set policies all across all of your locations?
This is going to be a corporate-owned facility with lots of detailed policies, to answer your question. And we're doing this across the nation, too.
Okay, any other questions? So I'm sorry.
I just wanted to clarify. You had said, somebody asked, so does this change all of those?
Yes, anywhere in the township that is currently zoned C1 for neighborhood commercial, car wash would be allowed to be in those.
But I don't think a lot of those lots would be conducive to have a car wash or even build on them. We should look at that.
As part of the ordinance update, there will be minimum lot sizes, minimum setback requirements that you can't just have putting a car wash and see one of the lots 5,000 square feet. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But so that's all part of the ordinance that has yet to be written. That has not, the details of the ordinance have yet to be written.
Well then, this is the one that would impact my life the most, and I would respectfully request that you not move forward, that we deny the change in the
Thank you. Does anyone else have a question? So I have a quick question about the process here. So we have a land planning committee bring this to Board of Supervisors. Typically, we like our planning commission to review some of these, and I forget the sequence of steps we normally go through here. So the land planning committee was established to
vet these sort of
things and make sure the board weighed in it. So we've not missed a step with the planning commission, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
The planning commission would comment on the actual written ordinance.
Okay.
The details of the ordinance, not the general, just the general concept. They would be reviewing the actual ordinance.
Okay, so at this point, I think we're ready to listen to what the board members have heard and what they think about whether to move this forward. Who would like to start or offer an opinion?
Well, I'll start. I'll just say that I think we should go ahead and authorize the solicitor to go ahead and put together the amendment, and we can have further discussion on it, but that would be the next step in the process.
Okay. Anyone else want to say?
Yeah, my opinion is I would not move forward at this time. I don't think we have enough information, and most importantly, the answer that I received regarding the environmental and handling that, I don't think was adequate. I think I'm very familiar with oil water separators. They're antiquated. I don't think they work that properly, and even if they do, it only handles the oil. There's a lot more contaminants associated with that car wash operation that could enter the subsurface environmental conditions. So I feel very uncomfortable with moving forward as of right now.
Anyone else? Ashu?
Yeah, I'm skeptical as far as the traffic is concerned. That intersection is horrible. I use it almost every day. And coming off of 202, I just don't see that it's going to work.
Okay. My thoughts are, I'm a little concerned this is putting the cart before the horse. So you're well aware we have this zoning review, which is intended to simplify our overall zoning in the township. But as part of that, we're looking at having to consolidate uses into more of the currently separated commercial districts. So I understand your urgency. I'm not sure it's our urgency to move that forward. I'd like a more considered approach to what's going to happen with the C1s, which were established specifically to be different in terms of uses given their proximity to neighborhoods. And I think it would behoove us just to let the process play out with our overall zoning assessment, understand what that means in terms of where car washes would be permitted, and where we have a fuller discussion with the full planning committee and all the board around what that specific proposal looks like for rezoning the township. And maybe at that point it would become something that would be a viable use in this location, but I don't see the need to move ahead with this tonight in terms of allowing that use in the current C1 district. That's my thought.
So I'm more along the lines of John, though. I think we have three that are not comfortable moving forward, but I would like to see something occupy this space. It has been vacant, I think, for far too long. It's already commercial. The zoning update that has been worked on for a year, I understand that the rest of the board hasn't even been able to see that yet, but we've taken a lot of things into consideration in designing that update of where certain uses belong. And I think that a much more impactful use could go into this space that would actually affect the residents, I think, more negatively than this use. And so I would support moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can just follow up, I understand the concerns I have as well about traffic and noise and so forth and stormwater. But those could be addressed during the conditional use process as well as the land development. All we're planning on doing tonight is developing the wordage of an ordinance amendment, which we could also decide not to pursue. But we also, at that point, give an opportunity for the planning commission to weigh in and also to get their recommendations as well. So I think we're not deciding at this time to allow this to happen. We're just allowing the amendment to be written up to the ordinance, and that could lead in that direction. But eventually it's going to probably go there anyway.
Yeah, understood. I mean, I just think of the history of some of the boards had with the Parkway Shopping Center and how the C1 was zoned originally meaning a couple of years ago, for retail with gas. And that allowed the big Wawa to come in, and a lot of residents were upset about that. So as Brian read it off tonight, we subsequently changed the ordinance to not allow retail use with gasoline pumps in C1. Now, the Wawa's grandfathered because when they put their application in, that was what was permitted. So I just think we need a little bit more time. We've got a process underway, and we can certainly, at the end of the day, it could well be that car washes are permitted use, but I don't see the rush or need given what we have underway. From this board, from my perspective anyway, so.
Chris or Brian, where else are car washes permitted in the township?
They're permitted in the C5 General Highway District, which is along Westchester Pike.
And are any of those lots able to support a car wash?
What happened with was there a proposed car wash at that bank that went out?
I don't remember what the lot size, but there was concern, if I remember the land plan committee, because that was about 2 years ago at this point. The concern was really traffic queuing out onto Westchester Pike. And that didn't actually make it past the land planning committee. That died at the land planning.
The land planning committee was against it because of noise for the senior living facility next door to it. That's where they...
Wasn't there also a concern about the traffic queuing out on Westchester Pike?
It never got that far.
Okay.
Are we required as a township though to, I guess if it's already in our ordinance, we have to allow for the car wash use somewhere?
You have to allow for every legal lawful use, and you'd be permitted in another zoning district currently.
But in our zoning update, okay.
Then the zoning update takes that into account, does allow it in a couple different of the new zoning districts, including what this one will be.
Yeah, but as we said, we need further review by a lot more people on that overall update. So I don't know what our time frame for that is, Chris, but it's certainly a 6-month plus process to get through all that, review and finalize it, review it, approve it. What are your thoughts?
The board and the planning commission are scheduled to have a joint meeting on January 28th to review it, so that's kind of like the first real big moment, I'll say. I can't think of a better term. It'll go through the required review process under the MPC.
All right, so it's probably not what you wanted to hear tonight, but I'm hearing the majority of the board are not in favor of moving ahead with this particular, permitting this particular use in C1 at this time. As an outcome of our overall rezoning assessment, it could well be that this site would still be viable for a car wash, but it's certainly some months away. I'm not sure that the current property owner is going to find a lot of other people willing to come in and put a forest or whatever else is permitted in this area, so you may be able to negotiate a better timeline for yourselves with potentially still being able to have a chance of this use down the road, but at this time the majority of the board are not going to move it forward. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, we will move on to agenda item number 20, which is discussion and possible approval of a proposal from Charles Higgins and Sons for repairs to the traffic signal at the intersection of Boot Road and Route 202. You said 20. Okay, 20, discussion and possible ratification of amendments to the intermunicipal agreement for the Westchester Area Response Team. Chris.
Mr. Chairman, before the board this evening is ratification of the amendments to the intermunicipal agreement for the Westchester Area Emergency Response Team. By way of background information, at the September 16th meeting, the board adopted resolution number 29-2025. The resolution approved the intergovernmental agreement for the emergency response team. There were some changes that were made at the request of one of the partner municipalities. And Chief Carroll did go through and review those changes and highlighted those for the board.
And the board has reviewed these and voted individually to approve the intermunicipal agreement. So tonight we're looking to ratify collectively that previous decision, correct?
That is correct. So
I will make a motion to ratify the amendments to the intermunicipal agreement for the Westchester Area Emergency Response Team. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just note I did check with the solicitor to see if a new resolution was required, and she said one was not required.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Is there any public comment or questions?
Well, I just have a couple of questions. The changes from what we had already approved into this amendment would be under number item 33. It's going to be, I'm sorry, the new item number 31 would be a $25,000 cap, which would be, for each municipality, would be a fee. Where's the current cost now? Do you know?
I did 5,000.
5,000. And item number 17, the location of the facilities and equipment. Has that been determined? Is that going to be West Whiteman?
So, the equipment is spread out through several locations, and we did not want that in this agreement. This agreement was strictly the financial end, but there's a bunch of lawyers that participated in figuring this out, so
We have some of the equipment for the ERT team here.
So it's going to be spread out to all the municipalities, is that what you're saying?
well, off the top of my head, I can't tell you that every municipality is housing a vehicle, but they certainly are housing equipment for their guys, vehicles, there's a lot of stuff.
And the agent, item number 9, has that been determined what the political subdivision party would be?
Yes, Yukon Township.
Any other questions? Any public questions? Okay, we'll take the vote. All in favour say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Okay, now we are on to agenda item number 21, which is discussion and possible approval of a proposal from Charles Higgins and Sons for repairs to the traffic signal at the intersection of Boot Road and Route 202. Just up from where we were talking about. Is this with Chris or Brian? Yeah, Chris.
Mr. Chairman, before the board this evening is a proposal from Charles A. Higgins and Sons, Inc., the township's traffic signal maintenance provider for repairs to the traffic signal at the intersection of Boot Road and 202. By way of background information, PennDOT was investigating the loss of communication at the intersection and alerted the township to a large vermin infestation in the signal cabinet for the northbound 202 ramps of Boot Road. This infestation caused the outage through the damage to the communication system, and the resulting communication issues are causing backups on the 202 ramp and impacting the ability for the signals to be seen on PennDOT's network. Due to the cost, we provided the proposal to the township's property insurance provider, and the claim was denied since the damage was the result of vermin. We did provide a copy of the proposal for the cost, which is just over $81,000, I believe it is $81,296. Funds are allocated for traffic signal maintenance in both the general fund and the capital reserve fund. My recommendation would be to pay for this work in the general fund allocation since it's a repair of an existing facility. This will exceed the budget for traffic signal maintenance for the year. And the work does not need to be bid out pursuant to section 3102H1 of the Pennsylvania Second Class Township Code, which I provided for the board in the memo that was provided in tonight's materials. I did verify this with the solicitor.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Board questions and comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
How much over the budget is it?
About $6,000. I'm going to say 6,300 roughly.
For the entire year.
For the entire year.
Is it gonna be designed to not allow vermin to continue getting into it?
Brian?
They're going, you do what you can to prevent, but this was a mouse infestation, and they're not sure where they came from. They got in, they chewed up all the wires. So this cabinet is located that it controls both ramps, and also that cabinet also talks to the signal at Green Hill and Boot. So the signals now are not communicating. That's why we're having backups through the.
I know, so what you replace it with, is it gonna not allow mice to get in?
They will hack it the best they can, but the mice were coming out of the underground conduit. They could have got in from anywhere. They were coming out of the conduit that's underground. So they seal it the best they can, but they still have the wires in it and all that. So until this. I
mean, these cabinets should be rated 3R, outside duty, weatherproof. They should be sealed out.
The mice can get in.
What kind of what kind of warranty would they be given the township if they're doing this work? For this kind of work? It's going to be a year, 2 years, 5 years?
Warranty, sort of?
I understand, right, you're saying the conduit leading to this cabinet is where
From
they're
the,
getting
from the
it?
poles.
From the
So they
poles.
could have came in from the poles, because the poles are hollow. There hasn't been any determination of where they've come in. But when PennDOT lost communication with, because PennDOT can see these signals with what they are, they monitor them, they monitor the cameras that control the signals. So when they lost communication, they went out and looked in the cabinet, and that's when they found it and notified us, and that was in October. And we called Higgins, they went out, looked at stuff, they tried to fix it, they can't repair it. It's functioning the best they can function until we have to replace it with new equipment, which is what this is for.
So the question though is, we put a new cabinet in with all the new equipment, and that hole, or whatever it is, still exists, and in a year it goes out again, because it's going to reinfest it, right? That's what it sounds like could happen. That doesn't sound like we're solving the root cause of the
John's
problem.
question, is there some sort of like warranty?
We can verify that.
We can verify it.
We get a warranty that might be a year or something on the equipment, but well, 18 months of infestation, whatever, you know, if there's no,
Well,
you want to prevent the infestation from happening.
Is this like a freak accident? Like, does this happen often?
I've never, in 17 years, I've never heard of this happening, but I'm sure it's happened other places. I can tell you I'm starting the process for our renewal on our property liability insurance, and one thing I'm going to speak to them about is making sure we have coverage for this type of incident.
I mean, I think that's the best way to cover it, because you may never find the actual location where it's vulnerable.
And what is the crash truck rental? What do you
Because-
need that for?
It's because of the location of the cabinet for the ramps. Because the
Yeah.
cabinet, because of where the cabinet's located. They can't work on the cabinet and do the work to replace it with it. I can't get any closer on this.
So that's a temporary thing, crash truck.
Yeah, it's just for the work.
Okay.
It's doing, it's
It's for
traffic.
safety during
It's
the-
traffic, it's for safety of the workers doing the work.
Okay.
It needs to be fixed, so I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. Any public comments or questions? David?
Quick question. Yeah, David, yeah. So you're taking it out of the budget? I mean, what does that do for future repairs?
We were going to be able to budget for that line item.
Yeah, but you're blowing the budget in like 6,000 already.
Oh, yeah.
We would do any future repairs, it's just this was an unbudgeted expense.
So you take it out of the general account?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We manage our overall budget, and just be an item that's over budget.
I would just ask if we proceed to go on with this, ask them to make an assessment of where these mice came in from, and what are they gonna do, what efforts they're gonna take to mitigate that, not so it won't happen again.
And we also want you to pursue the addition to the insurance policy for infestation.
Yes.
Any other questions, Doug?
You want to get a consult with an entomologist?
Entomologist?
Once you get an entomologist consult,
You need a Pied Piper?
there's somebody who deals with bugs and.
Well, the problem is that we don't know where they're getting in, right? It's you got to find where they, you need to find them, find the source.
It has to be a conduit entry.
That's what Brian says, so, yeah.
And there's multiple conduit, because this goes to multiple signals, so there's.
That's how you can't even do a conduit. It's
I
an
know,
opening.
I mean, it's going to cost a lot of money to go and inspect it like conduit, right? That's the problem. You're going to spend another 50 grand trying to find the source of it
Well, you can seal those conduits.
at the location of the cabinet.
But they can, it can be sealed.
But if
That's what's done in hazardous locations. We seal the conduits coming into these boxes so that if there was an explosion inside the box, it can't expand. So you put seal walls on the conduits going into the enclosures.
Is that part of the specification?
You mean like that expandable foam?
It's a seal look. It's a seal up. It's filled with kind of like a concrete-like substance, and it forms around the wires. So there's no way for any, even air, to get past the seal.
They can't shoot through it.
Well, let's add that to the requirement,
Can
Brian.
they shoot through it, John?
I'll speak to Higgins about to see if that's even feasible, because
No,
once you
they're not
seal it, then you gotta
shooting.
break the seal if you gotta replace the wiring that goes out to the signals. I don't know. We can seal it in the box, but they can still chew the cable between the conduit all the way out to the poles.
But the problem is in the box.
The
It's a
box is where the
nesting
box.
box for it,
Well,
so-
we don't know yet until they start pulling cable and hooking it up. We could have cables that are chewed underground as well that we don't know about. We just know what we can see in the box.
But at least we can prevent a whole infestation by sealing the box. Okay. Any other questions? Good one, Doug. Thank you. All right, well, we got those little additions to our motion, so just need to recap it. So we're going to approve it with the motion. We're going to ask for a review of potentially sealing the cabinet itself from an infestation within the box. Chris has got an action to follow up with the insurance. And is there anything else? Okay. All right, we're ready to take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 22, discussion and possible authorization to advertise a proposed amendment to Chapter 78, Vehicles and Traffic of the West Goshen Township Code of Ordinances. Brian.
So every year I work with the police department. Throughout the year, we keep a list of either signs that are in the township that are not codified in the ordinances so they can't enforce them, or areas that they come up with that are problem areas or specific requests during the year. And we typically provide this to the board in end of the year, beginning of January, and then it's adopted, and we do one again at the end of 2026 and 2027. So there was some requests for stop signs, there was requests for no parking signs, for speed limit signs, and then there was also a request for a couple of so there are new signs. So the new signs in this ordinance are the stop signs at Mallard and Ravens. They're both new. I believe the stop sign at Orchard Avenue, the both directions, I believe that is new as well. The Howard Road speed limit, that is new. The driveway at Bailey Pike and the Prospect Avenue left turns, they were part of the West Goshen Shopping Center plan, so there have to be out-of-door orders to be enforced. The prohibited U-turn sign is there. They've been added at Matlack Street. They're just not codified yet to enforce them, but the sign has been installed.
So where's that U-turn sign? You're turning right off.
Turning right off of 202.
South Matlack.
Traffic was coming 202 north, turning on to Matlack, and then spinning a U-turn to get to the light to try to beat, and then going back out to try to beat the light. So they're going up the right-hand turn lane, going up towards FedEx, spinning U-turn, and going back out the other side to try to skip the light. So that's what that sign was for. And then the no parking sign was requested for Old West Town on both sides of the width of it. And then lastly, Parkside Avenue, I believe those signs are there, they just can't be enforced.
Going back to Mallard and Raven, so there is a stop sign on Eagle Road and Daisy Lane.
Yeah, it's a three-way intersection, and only 2 to 3 lanes have been stopped, and they were requested because of their school buses in the vicinity, school bus stopping, that was requested directly.
Remember on Warren where we had that stop sign that people were just not stopping at, blowing through? I mean, one of the things we asked was to put a stop line on the road as well to try to make it more visible. It is a stop, not just a sign, but also a road marking. Could we do the same here on Mallard and Ravens Eagle?
We can add the stop bars to our annual striping contract, yes.
So, I think our guys can do it too, or we could just put it on the striping contract. But I think we should do it as part of putting these in later in the year.
Well, it won't go in until spring anyways because it's too cold. But yes, this is just for you to authorize advertisement, and so it would be, the hearing for the ordinance would be on the January 20th.
Got it. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, what's the speed limit now on Howard Road?
It's just not posted.
Oh, no posting at all?
Right. There's no postage. This actually posts the speed limit.
And that's the minimum speed it could be posted is 25.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the advertisement for the proposed amendment to Chapter 78 of the Township's Code of Ordinances. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nate. Any public questions or comments? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. I'll motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:03. Is there a second? Thank you, Tina. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.